Good morning everyone and welcome back. It may be a little bit hard to see up the top here because it's a little bit glary, but we are drying out real bad. Maybe if I show you from this angle you might be able to see a little bit better, but all around the top there, that's all ash, or the ash country, and that's drying out big time now. Like these hillsides just here below this maze, there's not much grass on them at all. It's a little bit greener down the bottom here, but it's a little bit more heavy. It's sort of like clay peaty stuff, and it has got that green tinge to it. So if we did happen to get a bit of rain, this will recover a little bit faster than the ash country. This might be a better example, but you can see down the bottom here there's a bit of green, and almost at the base of the hill there, you can see it just turns brown and just nothing is growing up there now. It's nothing out of the ordinary, that's just what happens. We are in the middle of summer. We always get a dry period at some point. It's just, this year it's been amazing how quick it has dried out. We were sitting not too bad at Christmas time. There were heavy showers Boxing Day. We actually missed out here. We didn't get pretty much anything. I went into town on Boxing Day and it was absolutely pouring down in the afternoon there. They would have had 20 or 30 mils, so we have missed out on quite a bit of rain, but that's just how it goes, swings and roundabouts. And there is some forecast for tomorrow. It's just how much will we get out of it. I keep looking and it says we're going to get a little bit, and then I look again and it says we're pretty much going to get nothing. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't actually get much or if any out of it. It looks like it's coming in from sort of like the northeast, and when it does that, Northland sort of cops it, and even the east coast over in the bay, they get a lot of that, whereas we don't see much. It sort of sits or falls on the kaimais. However, time will tell. I have started feeding out though, so into the bales. My cows get 2 of these a day. Keep a couple of these craft knives in the tractor there. They're so good, just all around general farm use really, but they're awesome for cutting open these bales. This one's having a bit of a birthday today though. New blade makes such a big difference. Yeah, it can only go one way. I have put it on backwards. Much better. It is amazing how much a new blade makes such a big difference. Everyone's got their different tips for unwrapping their bales. I find this the easiest. This is wrapped. Usually this plastic wrap doesn't quite have this much silage around it. He shoots and he scores. To be honest, I don't usually have this much silage that falls off the side. That's the only downside of doing it this way, I guess. I leave the inner wrap on the second bale because I can do it there in the paddock, and then if it does fall off, the cows can just eat it, but I need to put one on before I get there. One of the really cool things about having this virtual fencing is that once these cows walk into the paddock like this, they're in their break, the collars start working. There's this cow in the gateway here, number 5. She might have not walked completely in yet. But once they walk in, they can't come back out, and when I'm coming along like that, sometimes in the past cows have come back out to meet me, and then I've had to push them back in. So it is pretty awesome just being able to drive in like this. It's not rolling out very nice, this bale. Whoop, that's not good. If I got another bale feeder, I would actually almost get a chain one. I just think it would be so handy being able to feed off both sides. Cheers. Geez, this one's not coming off very nicely either, to be honest. They're usually not quite this bad. Oh, well, we'll still eat it. I really need to look at getting a hydraulic top link for this tractor. It has a third remote, so it would be sweet as. It's just that, especially with this, with the fert spreader, it'd be also pretty handy. But when you lift it up, it goes like this, and then that means that the lower end of the bale sort of digs into the bracket over there, and then it stops that spinning while the other end is, and then it gets all unbalanced. So I think that would help big time. This is quite long, stringy silage too. I'm actually into level 2 now with Halter, so these cows are trained enough now that I don't need a safety fence. I've set the virtual one up pretty much straight through there on top of this little knob here. Nothing was over it when I got here to the paddock, and the safety fences I have been putting up the last couple of days, they have been sweet as. They haven't been going into that buffer zone. So it's going to be interesting. It is a very cool day, because that means from now on I won't need to put up any fences. It also means that I can leave the gateway open. I have set like a big buffer zone in here so that they can't come too close to it. And I'm going to shut this one here up the race a bit, so if they did happen to come out, they can't go all the way back to the cow shed or to the feed pad or whatever. Almost 3 o'clock, so time to shift them soon. But I can check on my desktop version and see where they are. So there's all the high herd, which I fed out the silage this morning. They're all still in. And if I zoom out, I can go to the young herd, which are here. They are just on the virtual edge there, but none have gone through. They'll be around this trough too. So that's good. That's what we want to see. Dad set up his break for this afternoon. I haven't yet. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put them. I think I have an idea. It's not looking good on the rain front though. They have predicted on Weather Watch tomorrow about 12 mils, so that is effectively going to do pretty much nothing. Maybe a little bit more in the weekend, another 10. If we got that follow-up, it would help. Now it's time to move them, and this is the really cool part. So I'm going to drop their brake. I'm going to put my drone up so you guys can see. Hopefully it all times in. What I've been doing for the last couple of days is that when I drop the gate, I leave it 20 seconds and then I open it. But now that I'm in level 2, I'm working myself out of the equation. So today I'll go over 2 minutes after it drops. Tomorrow 3, 4, 5, and you work your way up to 7, so that they're relying solely on the cues that they get from the collars. And then after I get to 7 minutes, I can work myself totally out of the equation and I don't even need to be here. It's actually a little bit windy today. Pushing the drone around a bit. Oh, Dad's on the move. You can see his cows are, they've got that black line in front of them, so they are going to their paddock. Now I'll go over to mine, click on that, drop brake, shift out of paddock, next choose a gate, that one, well, not milking shed, feed pad, next hold to drop. Now I've got to wait that 3 minutes for the command to go through, and you can see that black line there, that's where mine are going to go. Looks like the bullcock's come off too, the trough's overflowing. To fix that. Okay, so the brake has dropped now. They are all standing around the gate, so I don't know if they'll get cues just yet. The further they are away from the gate, the earlier they'll get the cues. I'm pretty sure it is. You can clearly see the line I drew around the gate though, isn't that amazing? I did get told too that while they're in training mode, the cues around the gate are softer than normal. So once they're out of training mode, they might get the cues earlier to come out. Just need one. Just need one. All right, it's been about 2 minutes, so I'm gonna go over there now. And they're away now. Didn't quite go to plan today. I was hoping they might have come out by themselves instead of me having to come over, but that is the whole point about this training. Might be a little bit harder at this time of the year, I was thinking, because instead of like sitting out in the paddock somewhere ruminating, they're probably a little bit hungry. You know, there's not much grass around. So if they were over there, they'd get the cue and then walk on over, but they'll get it. It's just a time thing. Yep, that's overflowing. I did put a spring arm on here, so it's not broken. It's just the string will be too long, I reckon. That's what it usually is. I do have a problem with these shutting off. That's shut off now. See all Dad's cows walking along there into their new break, but they've actually all been paused. See how they've got a little pause symbol on the collar? The whole mob of them, I think, actually broke out over this virtual fence there, so we'll go and catch up with him and just see why that was. It might have been when he went to shift them, it gave them the signal and they went the wrong way. Had a little bit of a steep learning curve there, so once these girls did come out of the paddock over there, they were unpaused, and then when they came into this paddock, that meant they were unpaused as well, and I had to manually shift or continue the shift so that when they came in here, the collars started working. Because they were paused, they went into tomorrow's break. It was good I came up. Dad was putting a fence up in front of them because he was a little bit unsure. But how come they went through the break over there?
Because they didn't come out of the paddock in a minute or two. Maybe they were halted or something. They were they went on tomorrow's break.
So because they didn't come out, the collars were paused.
Paused, yeah.
Which means yeah. So you were supposed to go over a minute after you unpaused their break. Which, yeah.
Quite possibly.
Okay. Oh,
so
tomorrow.
That was my fault.
That's all right.
Well,
at least we know. There was a thing on your phone and it said if, I don't know, I held it down and it said continue shift. So I just continued it, and then it's got to go 3 minutes through the cycle, and then the collars are back online now. So, all right. But the good thing is though, that they listened to them today. They didn't break out. The only reason they did was because of us, so yeah, amazing.
They didn't break out of where?
The paddock they were in. They've been in the paddock all day.
Yep, they did well.
Behind the virtual fence. And now they don't have one tonight. Isn't that amazing? She would have come up to the fence, she's got the cues, and she's turned around. Fluff, it is amazing. This is that top country, and you can see how dry it's getting underneath. Look at that. Look at that, the grass is just wilting up. This is where they were yesterday. A lot of green coming back there, and that's a new grass. Ah, well. I'm gonna tuck the cows in here, but it feels pretty surreal winding this up, knowing that I don't have to put them out again. What I normally do is there's one break in here, there's the fence, two, and then I run a fence up that sort of middle of the paddock there, but then I have to wind it up and put it this way so that I can get to the trough on the last break. And now I don't have to do any of that. It gives me options, whether, like, see how dry the hill is there, I could just fence that off and not even feed it. This time round, just leave it, take the pressure off it. Ground's like bloody concrete now. Jeepers. Same again for the night break though, leave that gate open. I will leave the gate on the feed pad shut, because when they come out of here in the morning, some of them might go that way, so that'll stop them getting back. There's a few grey clouds around, although it doesn't feel like it's going to rain. It hasn't got that feeling about it. Come in. It does feel a bit daunting letting them go on a big paddock like this and having the virtual fence to stop them, but I trust the technology. It's been working bloody well so far. I'm pretty much standing on the fence here. Oh, look, she's just walked through it. That one's walked through it. Turn around. Look at that. That was a good example. Too far back. I'd be quite happy just standing here for like the next half an hour and seeing what happens. But unfortunately, I can't. I've got to get home and sort the kids' dinner out. Right, let's try that again. It's like 5:30 in the morning. Kids are all still asleep, so my cows are still all in their break, which is awesome. So I'm going to drop it out of paddock next. Choose a gate, that one. To milking shed south entry next. Hold to drop. Okay, it'll be dropped in 3 minutes. Red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning. It's a little bit dark and hard to show you, but they are on their way. I did have to give them just a little bit of a push, but it didn't take much. It's so nice not having to sit behind them. When I got them out of the paddock then, or when they started to flow, I actually shot up here. I changed the gates over for them to come into the shed. Then I actually went back down and came in from behind them again. But when I caught up, they were pretty much at the top of the hill here. And it's just, yeah, it's so awesome. You don't get those real slow cows that just stop and pick at stuff on the race all the time. You can definitely see the graze line straight through there now. It's pretty noticeable. You'd even notice it a bit better if there was more grass, but it has kind of started raining. I don't think I'd really call it raining. It's probably somewhere in between a very light rain and a drizzle, somewhere in there. It's kind of wet the ground, but underneath it's still real dry. But at least it's a start, and hopefully we might get a little bit more as we go. Time will tell. It's the next day now, and unfortunately we didn't get anything. We didn't even really get like a milk. There's blue sky around today, so that is a bit of a shame. But that's just how it goes, swings and roundabouts. Stacey's come back today, so it is a good chance that I can ask her. Cece's also come down from Auckland, so that's good. We're having a catch up. But yeah, Stacey around my cows in the afternoon. They're actually fine in the morning. So this morning they came out sweet once I gave them the drop break cue. But yeah, in the afternoon, just crowding around the gateway. I guess because it is summer, it's a little bit harder too. They come to the gateway, as I was saying before, instead of probably ruminating and sitting down. But will it be something that I just need to extend it? Don't worry if their collars get paused. Like once they get it, they'll get it. Yeah, typically during training and the way we set up shifts and paddocks, we've got a couple of different stages within the paddock where the collar interacts differently with the cows. So particularly around the gateway, we know that that can sometimes be a bit more difficult for cows. You know, it's a higher stress zone, I suppose. Or so what we do, we will implement a zone around the gateway where we just fully back off in the collar. And give them a little bit more time to just work out where to go, what they're doing. So sometimes we can see that when they're exiting, coming to the gateway, the collar actually pretty much gives them no cues apart from the vibrate cue, which is just like encouraging them to walk forward. So that's what's happening at the moment, like you were saying before. They're crowding around that virtual fence around the gateway, and as soon as I drop the brake, are they getting a vibration cue from that? Yeah, they'll get a vibration cue, but they'll be able to just stand there and do nothing, and the collar's not gonna... And they're not gonna be pushed? No, so that's often what we'll see. There's nothing actually, there's nothing forcing the cows out or anything like that. They've just got time to kind of stand there and work it out. So often, during the early stages, particularly of training, cows still aren't really sure what that cue means, so we'd just recommend the whole principles of training is outcome based. So that's where, you know, you're still in the stages of watching the cows shift out, making sure that they're confident in what they're doing. So in this case, it's literally just keep calling them, giving them a couple of minutes and extending out that time each day.
And eventually they will get it. It just might be because of the time of year, they're staying by the gateway anyway. It just might be in this case they take a little bit more.
So if they are getting that vibration at the gateway, I just need them to click. And once it only takes one cow. Once one cow walks out, the rest will. So when they figure that vibration and they're allowed to go, I'll be away, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, at what point that comes. I don't think they'll be too far, but if they're getting it in the morning, surely they'll be able to figure it out in the afternoon.
Yeah, they'll work it out. As you said, it's literally one cow. Takes one, they go over, and then the rest follow. So, yeah, I'd imagine it won't be too long. Okay, all right. Persevere. It'll come soon. Well. Dropped their break this afternoon, and they have come out by themselves. It took them about 3 minutes after the break had dropped before they did. They were actually standing under some trees up in their paddock today instead of being around the gateway when it did drop. So maybe that made all the difference, like we were saying before. But that is awesome. That is good to see. And hopefully, now that they've got it, they should be sweet as going forward. But yeah, it feels pretty good to have taken that step forward. But that will pretty much wrap it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And apart from that, see you next time.